And in 2011, after a 6-month investigation, it was 60 Minutes that broke the story of Armstrong's doping. Scott Pelley interviewed Tyler Hamilton, one of Armstrong's former teammates, and Hamilton revealed how he and Armstrong used banned substances, including EPO and testosterone. He also said that Armstrong told him about failing a drug test in 2001. Well, after the 60 Minutes story aired, Armstrong and his advisors complained bitterly, demanding an on-air apology. Scott Pelley is with us. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Norah. Charlie, great to be with you.
You saw this interview last night. It didn't appear that he came completely clean. What else did you feel could have been said or should have been said?
Well, it wasn't a tell-all, but it was a tell-a-lot. It was remarkable to hear him say the things that he did say. One thing that struck me, Norah, was the way he described doping as air in our tires and water in our bottles. I mean, these substances, in many cases, are controlled substances. This is not air and water we're talking about. And one of the things that the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency was curious about was how were these drugs obtained? How were they distributed? How were they carried across state lines? How were they carried across international borders? Were federal laws broken here? USADA describes it as drug trafficking. And one of the things that he didn't really talk about very much was how elaborate and complex and well organized all of this was.
Mm-hmm. There's also the question of the intimidation. You just heard someone say, well, he's an intimidating guy. He said he was a bully. But you have heard people say it's much more severe than that.
Oh, it's amazing the lengths that he would go to, according to some of the witnesses who were testifying against him over time, particularly testifying against him before that federal grand jury. Levi Leipheimer's wife, he's one of the writers who rode with Armstrong, she got a text from him that said, "Run, don't walk." Tyler Hamilton, who you just saw a picture of from our 60 Minutes interview, told us that Armstrong came to find him in a bar after the 60 Minutes interview, put his hand on his chest and looked him in the eye and said, "We're going to make your life a living hell." So as Armstrong admitted to Oprah last night, when he was backed into a corner, he came out fighting, and a lot of people felt that heat.
It came from the cancer that he said in last night. Because of winning over cancer, he felt like he had to be the most competitive person in the world.
That's right. That's right. And this is one of the reasons that personally I hate all of this. It was such a great story, such a story of gallantry that the world could get behind. This man overcame such a terrible disease and became one of the greatest athletes of all time. And it turned out to be all along.
Go ahead, and then I'll come back.
I would say it was 2 years ago that you and 60 Minutes broke this story. And you guys faced a lot of criticism at the time, including from Armstrong's camp and his lawyers and his whole team, right?
Absolutely. We received threatening letters, telephone calls, "Don't go there, you guys are wrong, you're going to regret this," all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But there were just too many witnesses. There were too many people who were coming forward and talking to us and talking to the Anti-Doping Agency and telling what they knew.
If doping was not part of cycling, would Armstrong have been a winner? Would he have been competitive? Would he have won?
Would he have been...
If nobody was using dope?
If nobody was using doping, he was a great athlete. But Travis Tygart, the head of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, we asked him the question that you just asked me, and he said he didn't think that there would be 7 Tour de France wins by Armstrong. And Armstrong said essentially the same thing last night, that he would not have been successful without doping. He also suggested, though, that it was a level playing field because everybody was doing it.
Right.
But
that's his argument.
That is his argument. But one of the things Tyler Hamilton told us was it wasn't a level playing field because Armstrong's doping program was so well financed. He had more money than anybody else had, and therefore he could do this at a much higher level than anyone.
Thank you, Scott. We'll hear more tonight on the Evening News.
Great to be with you.